What it do, people? Keith Moore Jr. here, and today I'm going to be talking about how to lose weight and keep muscle. I will be giving you all 5 tips that will help you retain your muscle for your weight loss phase. But before we get started, I need everyone to hit that like button right now. It helps get this channel out to more people, which in turn will help my channel to grow, and I appreciate it in advance. So let's get right into it. Many people like to focus on what the scale says. They think, I'm not making progress if the scale is not showing something different every couple of days. And when we just focus on the scale, we run the risk of doing an extreme diet or weight loss phase to where we aren't retaining any muscle by the end of that. So I mentioned many times on this channel before that you need to be in a caloric deficit in order to lose weight. Now, something you have to be careful with when you're trying to keep your muscle is how much of a deficit you're in. So for example, some people like to just go into an extreme caloric deficit in order to lose weight as fast as possible, and then at the end of it, they say, okay, now I want to tone up, or now I want to bulk back up to put my muscle back on. You can still build your muscle while you are in that fat loss or weight loss phase. Just because you're in a fat loss or weight loss phase does not mean you have to lose muscle. So the goal is to retain that muscle that you had when you were in a caloric surplus. So I recommend doing a longer cutting period. So for example, I have been cutting now for 12 weeks and I'm down a little over 23 pounds. So that's about 1.9 pounds per week that I have been losing. Now that may not sound like a lot, but for me to be able to retain muscle and lose about 1.9 pounds per week, I would say that is very good. Because if we look at the overall number, me being down a little bit over 23 pounds, that's a lot of weight that I lost. But I made sure to stretch that out and not just become very obsessed with being in an extreme caloric deficit. I think that's very important. While at the same time, I think my weight loss was fast, but it wasn't too fast, if that makes sense. So on average, I would like to lose between 1 and 2 pounds per week just to ensure that I am still keeping my muscle mass. I'm on the higher end of that range that I like to stay within, but I'm still within the range. So yeah, it's fast weight loss for someone that's retaining their muscle. But I'm sure there are some people who may try to lose more weight than that per week, but at the same time, they run the risk of losing a lot of their muscle mass. And for me, I did a 10-month bulk, so there was no way I was going to sacrifice all the muscle I put on for 10 months just to lose weight as fast as possible and not have anything to show for it. So I think that's where we need to start first. Do not go into an extreme caloric deficit. Reduce your calories slowly. And then if you are at a stage where you are losing weight consistently, the 1 to 2 pounds per week, then you may not need to change your calorie intake for quite some time. You may not need to change it until you reach a certain plateau again. So just keep that in mind. You do not have to be in an extreme caloric deficit in order to lose weight while keeping your muscle. Spread it out. Take it slow and reduce your calories over time. For me, I either will, in the past, I would, count my calories, but now I do intermittent fasting, but I'm still in a caloric deficit. I just have experience with cutting and bulking, so I know a ballpark range of how many calories I need to consume in order to be in a caloric deficit while not being too far in a deficit. So that's going to be step 1. So now let's transition to the next step, which is going to be your cardio. Now, a lot of people think they have to do extreme cardio, like long endurance training. And this can be something that's hurting you as well, because you can still lose weight or lose fat at a very good rate without having to do long extended periods of endurance training. So the same way we said with the diet, you want to progress with that over time, reduce your calories over time when you need to, or when you hit certain plateaus. The same thing is going to apply to cardio. We aren't going to just do an extreme amount of endurance training and then just keep building upon that until we lose all the weight we want to lose. That will definitely have you looking skinny after you lose your weight. You want to ease into that as well. So I do about 3 to 4 times a week of cardio. For a while I have been doing the Stairmaster, but my typical session for that cardio would not exceed 30 minutes. So I started out with, jump rope, and then the jump rope wouldn't be anything crazy either. But then once I ran outside for a day and I got plantar fasciitis, so that's why I transitioned to the Stairmaster, because that was easier on my foot and things like that. But recently I have been doing HIIT training, but my HIIT training is nothing crazy. My HIIT training is more so like 15 minutes when I do that instead of my steady state cardio. And then for my HIIT training, I will do things like burpees, mountain climbers, and just other calisthenic type movements. So do not think you need to kill yourself with doing a bunch of cardio, because that will definitely cause you to lose a lot of the muscle. Keep it moderate. And then if you're still losing weight at the rate you want to, but let's say you want to do cardio, okay, then just maybe bump your calories up some and then start implementing cardio if you have to have that as part of your routine. But some people may not even like cardio, but they may still be losing weight strictly from their diet, but they're still losing it at a pace to where they're able to retain their muscle. Then if that's the case, you don't have to add cardio if you're already reaching your goal week after week. Cardio is something that will aid in the fat loss process and help to speed things up some, but you don't want to speed things up too fast. Like I said, if things start going too fast and you just have to do cardio, then yeah, bump those calories up some so you aren't risking losing muscle in the process. So now we're going to transition to the next topic, which is going to be your resistance training program. As far as your resistance training goes, a lot of people think, okay, I am going to cut now, so I have to start lifting lighter weight and doing more reps. No. You want to keep your resistance training program similar to what you were doing before when you were in your caloric surplus and you built the muscle. Just think about it, like, why would you change how you're lifting weights if it helps you to build muscle in your caloric surplus? You should be doing the same thing when you are cutting down. Now, if you feel like, oh, I have to lift less weight, maybe it's because you are cutting too fast. The only time I will say it's acceptable to have strength loss while you're in a weight loss phase is if you are prepping for like a bodybuilding show or something like that, because your body fat gets so low and your calories do get lower than they should. If you're doing like an extreme prep, then you may start to see your strength decline, but that will be towards the end of the journey, a couple of weeks before you get on stage. But if you're just like myself, just dieting down to lose weight, get lean, you should not be experiencing a strength loss. I did a video recently about me losing strength while intermittent fasting, and I'll link that video here if you all want to check it out. I recognize that problem, and I want to say that was like 2 to 3 weeks ago. I recognize that issue, and I'm like, okay, this needs to get addressed because I shouldn't be losing strength. That means that my cut is too aggressive. So what did I do? I ended up increasing my calories some to offset that, and now things are back to where they should be. So don't accept the loss of strength as part of the weight loss or fat loss phase, because it's not. You should keep that same intensity, still lift with a good amount of volume. Now, I will say, after dieting for 12 weeks now, I'm a little more sore than I normally am, but I have made a conscious effort to lift with the same loads that I was lifting with when I was 189 pounds, because that's going to ensure that I keep the muscle on me. Now, if I feel like my strength is going down, then I'm going to bump up the calories or reduce the amount of days that I'm doing cardio. I'm going to make a change somewhere, because I'm not going to accept losing strength. I've done that in the past when I didn't know any better, when I thought it was just all a part of the process, but now I know better, so I do better. So now we are going to talk about the 4th tip, which is going to be your protein intake. A lot of people, when they go into this caloric deficit, they are just reducing all of their macronutrients just all the way across the board. And I want to tell you all that it is very important to make sure you are consuming enough protein during a weight loss phase. For the sake of the video, not to get into all of the scientific details and everything, but I recommend having at least 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight while you are in your weight loss phase. This will help you to keep that muscle on you, prevent you from getting that skinny look, which people hate, because then they feel like, well, I may as well just gain the weight back so at least I appear muscular. Granted, my stomach may have to take a loss in the process, and it may not be lean anymore, but I don't want to look skinny, so let me gain some weight back. No, keep your protein intake at a high level, and once again, 1 gram per pound of body weight is perfect. And then that will help to ensure that you are not losing a lot of muscle while you are losing weight. We're all about retaining that muscle and looking lean. Last but not least, the 5th tip. This is something I feel like does not get talked about enough in the fitness community, and it's going to be sleep. We have to ensure we are getting enough rest at night, because that will help with our recovery. Now, a lot of times, and I've been guilty of this in the past, we may get busy with just things that happen in life, but we're like, I still have to get to the gym. And then we may go work out on 3 hours of sleep. Now, yeah, we made it to the gym, but we aren't necessarily being productive in there, and we're potentially risking an injury because we're already tired, and then our reflexes are not all there. So it's just a lot that can go wrong when you don't get enough sleep. That's an important step in this process as well that I think gets overlooked a lot. If you aren't getting sleep, then you aren't going to be able to optimize your potential for muscle growth. So I hope this video was helpful. Remember, we're focused on not just weight loss, but we care about looking lean and retaining a muscle when we do lose that weight. So please subscribe to the channel. The channel is growing. I really appreciate it. And if you all have any questions or comments, please leave them below. and also stay tuned for more similar videos. I appreciate the continued support. Catch you on the next one. Peace.